Welcome to this next video on the mandolin. Today we're talking about some alternate ways of strumming these chords. Every video that we've done so far has been what I call hard down strums. This is just what I call them. It's a full down stroke on the chords, like a G chord. We're just striking the strings all the way through. But let's talk about the mandolin's function within, say, a band setting or a big picture view of how the mandolin functions with other instruments. That is, the mandolin is technically usually used as an upbeat instrument. So if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm counting the song that way, down, we call those downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, like I might be tapping my foot, right? Clapping my hands, stomping or something, to those downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So those are just hard downs, right? The mandolin should actually be focusing on the up strum. So if the bass is going, I'm going opposite of it. So I'm finding my place as an answer to the bass. So if we look at all the instruments that you might find in a typical band or a folk band, you have bass or like bass drum at the bottom as the foundation that holds maybe a more structural instrument like a guitar. And then above that, in the hierarchy or in the way instruments stack together, is you might find a fiddle and a mandolin at the upper end of it as kind of the decorations to, or the extra fluttery things that dance from the foundation. Isn't that fun? We're getting super philosophical here. The mandolin is the answer too. So think about a drums. We have a kick and a snare. We have to go boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, ch, boom, ch. The snare is the mandolin. Here's a way that we can practically do that with one instrument, just our single instrument. I call it little down, big down. Most music either is hard down, like everything we've done so far, or in a more folk situation, we're gonna go little down, big down. That's gonna take some time practicing with that right hand. But again, sometimes I'll say something and then I'll kind of like back up a little bit and slowly go back through that thing. And that is little down, big down. What we're gonna do for the G chord, and I'm gonna tell you how to go through each of the 5 or 6 chords that we've gone over so far. The quick answer is a little stroke on the top string, okay? Most chords are gonna be able to just hit the top string. Little stroke, big. So little, big. I'm pretty much just hitting the top string. It's okay if you hit the top 2 strings or so. Little, big. So we get this boom, tsh, like a drum. As you approach your function within the band setting, a lot of times the mandolin is going to be expressed that way. Again, where we go little on the downbeat. That's for the drum. Boom. That's not for you. Boom. That boom beat is for the fundamental, the ground instruments. You're the answer to it, okay? So, but you're going to express it by just lightly hitting the strings. That way you can kind of just be in the flow of it. So little down, big down. So go nice and slow. Pause the video anytime and kind of experience that and express that on your G chord. And then you're gonna go through all those other chords that you've already learned to play, like a C or a D. Maybe you'll do this 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then change, right? Go to C, go to D, go to E minor. And let's go to C. So for the C chord, you can just do that regular C, and you can just hit that low string again. But what kind of comes off of it is the C chord. Going back to G. Little big, little down, big down. Little big, little big, little. Going to D. So I'm just keeping my right hand in that flow. Boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. Okay? So that's the main way to express that kind of folky rhythm pattern. Okay? Either you're going hard downs, some little flutters in there, but the focus is on those downs, or you're focusing on the up. And you get to decide as the player what kind of rhythm pattern is going to fit the song. And again, most songs fit within that structure. Either hard downs, or you could say hard ups, 1 and 2 and 3. You're going to focus on pushing forward those up beats rather than the down beats. I hope that makes sense. Now you can experiment and express your chords through those two rhythms. Practice both, because that is now making you a multi-dimensional or rhythmic, complex rhythmic player. The other type of rhythm that I want to talk about is using those up strums. Think of up strums this way. They don't need to be a big, complex thing. A lot of times they're used as just little accents. So you might hit just some of the brightest strings. And here's how we could do it. Those are usually on the up beat. So I know there's a lot of terms here, but really the important thing is to get playing it. But here's one way you can express an up strum. Okay? On a G chord, do 4 hard downs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on your way up, you're already on your way up. Snag those bright strings. So if we've worked all this time before focusing on a downs and just skipping our way back up and then hitting that down strum again, now we're actually going to bring some of those in. And what happens when we do that is we've just doubled the complexity of what we're able to offer. If I'm just going downs, and now I add ups, I've just doubled my rhythm, what's being pushed out, presented out. So, yes, you can hit every down and every up, but it might get a little bit old after a while. The 4 minutes of a song like that, it might get a little bit old. So what we do is we find little moments or accents to bring in. What we did is we brought it on after the 4th beat. So like 1 again, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Let's go to C after this. Watch this. Right on the up. Right on the up, you can be a little sloppy with it. Believe it or not, a lot of players take that up strum as a distraction to the fact that they're changing chords. If you notice, that up strum wasn't on a G chord and then I had to switch real quick. I was actually switching while that up strum was happening. And again, believe it or not, that's actually a pretty common way to change chords, is when the right hand is hitting an up strum. It's like, hey, don't look at the fact that I'm trying to change chords over here. I'm just, hit that up strum. So, G, 2 of these patterns, up, C. And you can do that again. On this up, I'm gonna go back to G. Okay? So now we've got some up strums. If we're doing like a hard down strum type song, I can snag those bright strings. And then again, to review real quick, the little down, big down, which is found mostly in like bluegrass, folk type genres. Little big, little big, little big, little big. Go to C. Back to G. Boom, boom, right? So that's an introduction with things that we can do with that right hand to add complexity to your playing. You need to spend weeks working on those different types. We've only focused on downbeats. And before we go, I want to add one more thing that you can do. Whenever I'm playing rhythm, a lot of beginners really struggle with the fact that it doesn't sound complex. It maybe sounds plain, or they say it's boring, or they don't feel like anything's moving. Remember, rhythm is what moves the song forward. So a lot of times I'll tell my students, just simply, whatever the rhythm of the song is, like wherever those downbeats are, 3, 4, 1, wherever those downbeats are, just simply double them. So if I'm doing this to my song, that's my song, I'm simply just gonna double those. Not simply, I understand that takes some time. But I'm gonna fit an extra strum between, if you will, those quarter notes. These are called eighth notes. Or quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So when we were doing that little big, those upbeats that we're focusing on, game out. That's my dog. When we were doing those little then down, really what we were doing was we were making eighth notes. 1 and 2. Notice how things got so much more complex sounding than just simple down strums. Okay? Hopefully, again, I've given you some things to think about. I'm Jacob Paul with Inside Out Studio. I'm gonna see you on that next video.